Okay, now I always over prepare, so just in case, it's always better to just chop something off than not have enough. So we're not going to worry about this today. This do now. Probably we'll worry about this later on. And we're not going to worry about finding out angles 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from the given information. We'll worry about this later on this week. I think probably going to be too much right now. So we're just skipping this do now, this group task, and we're going to go straight to examples. Now I'll probably just do 1 and 2 with y'all and then verbally point out 3 and 4. Okay, now you can only compare angles that touch the same transversal. So for number 1, 95 and y cannot be compared. 95 and y are not connected to the same transversal. Only 95 and x plus 10 can be compared. They're connected to the up and down transversal. X plus 10 and y can be compared. They're connected to the left and right transversal. Y and 95 cannot be compared. They're not connected to the same transversal. Okay, so I'll walk you through this. Now, first we're going to have to solve for the value of y or x, and since we can't compare y to 95, since they're not connected to the same transversal, we're going to have to compare the two angles on the right side here that are connected to the same transversal. Okay, notice both of those, 95 and x plus 10, are above and to the right. So x plus 10 and 95 are alternate. Oh, sorry, my bad, wrong. They are congruent, but the wrong pair of angles. We call these corresponding angles. They're in the same position relative to the lines. They're both above and to the right. And they are connected to the same transversal, so we can compare them. These are supposed to be congruent. So now we can solve for x because we can use the property of corresponding angles to set up an equation. And then we solve the equation. Now we know the value of x. Okay, now the angle on the upper right side is x plus 10. It's not x. So now that we know x is 85, this angle x plus 10 would be 85 plus 10. So we know now that's 95. Now there's a whole lot of things you can do. You can go ahead and use the geometry. We know that's 95 because those are vertical. That would be 95 because those are corresponding. And if we do that, you can see that y and 95 make a straight angle, so they're supplementary. You could also have done that from the original problem. Y and 95 are connected by the same transversal, so we can compare them. Y and 95 are outside the parallel lines and on the same side of the transversal. So they're consecutive exterior. And I'll just abbreviate the word exterior, which means they're supplementary. All right, so that means we would solve the equation, the sum equals 180, or if you just want to do the shortcut, subtract 180 minus 95. So again, we could either first recognize their consecutive exterior and quickly get an equation, or we could kind of start doing vertical angles with the 95, corresponding angle with the 95, and once you see these connected to make a straight angle, you can get that they're supplementary that way too. So again, it depends upon how you think about this stuff. All right, we'll look at the number 2 problem in a moment. Okay, now the number 2 problem. You can only compare angles if they're touching the same transversal. And once you're touching the same transversal and the lines are parallel, then you can do some math. Okay, so when you look at the number 2 problem, we can't compare the y to 40. The y and 40 are not touching the same transversal. We can compare the 40 to x plus 5 because they're touching the same up and down transversal. And we can compare the y to the x plus 5 because they're touching the left and right transversal. Okay? All right, so looking at the picture, well, we need to get a solution for x or y, so we probably would be better off to compare x plus 5 to the 40 first. That way we'll get a value for x, and then we'll be able to know what this angle is, and then we'll be able to compare the x plus 5 to the y. So for these problems, there's going to be 2 steps. All right, now again, how you go about this depends upon your thought process. What I would do is okay, this is 40. Let's see, corresponding angles are congruent, so that's also 40. And now you can see the 40 and the x plus 5 form a straight angle. You could also do vertical angles with the 40. And now you can see the x plus 5 and the 40 are consecutive exterior. So however you go about it, eventually you're going to do the fact that they're supplementary to solve for x. Okay, so then x plus 5 plus 40 equals 180. And then when you subtract 45, you get the value of x, which would be 135. Okay, so now we know the value of x. And now we're going to compare the x plus 5 to the angle y, since they're connected by the same left-right transversal. We know the x is 135, so x plus 5 is 135 plus 5, which is 140. All right. Now the 140 and the y are in between the 2 parallel lines. And they're on opposite sides of the transversal. 140 is above, y is below. So that means these are alternate interior angles, which means they're congruent. So y is 140.